Now this one I don't know about.
Drum roll, please.
We're going a little brave on this one. Fresh bottle, just opened it. My all-time favorite rye, Willett Family Estate rye. We've got
Pew. You are bringing out the heat for this episode. Are you kidding me right now? What's going on, Cigar Club family? Welcome to the Cigar Club podcast. I'm Dave with Cigar Club, and joining me today is the Palate Prince.
I'm back.
Producer Pew, David Pew, the Hungarian paprika sensei.
I almost sent you a picture of we were cooking the other day, and I pulled out the Hungarian paprika, and I almost sent you just a random photo of it, just to be like, it exists.
You should have, because I still haven't ever seen it before in real life. But I will believe you based solely on your description of it, and the fact that I couldn't have agreed more with you. When you said it's paprika without the smoke, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I can't disagree with that because that's kind of what this tastes like. So I've only had Hungarian paprika, but in a cigar.
Well, you can find it at your local supermarket. It's worth it.
Good. I'll check it out. Pew, we're back. Podcast time, and we're kicking it up with a Cigar Club Customs that you're already smoking, dude.
I'm in. I could not wait around any longer.
Well, you need to freaking intro this so that I can light this sucker up.
Customs Volume 4 APERIO.
You like the band upgrade we did on this thing?
The band, first thing everyone is going to notice is that band. 5 1/4 by 50. Closed foot. Gorgeous.
I love the size. This, to me, this is what every Robusto should be, is this size, 5 1/4, 50. And we printed our bands at a new place for this run and the next, really, from here on out, we're printing them at a new place. But we have access to something called Opus paper. So if you ever smoked an Opus X, it uses the same paper that band does, and we're able to use some different dyes and printing, embossing techniques. This band is kind of what I had initially envisioned for Customs as a whole. It took a little bit to get there, First time making cigars, you're going to have your bumps in the road, but now we're here, and we're super pumped on this band. Couldn't have been a better cigar to kick it off with our buddy Hostos at Tabacalera La Isla. All right, I'm going to get lit up, Pew.
It certainly took it. Get into it. Let me know. I've already gone through my closed foot.
I'm getting into this.
Let me know as soon as you get it in. I want those initial draw notes with the closed foot.
You got it.
And for everyone, I'm about barely into it, so it's just starting to get into it past that closed foot. But this is the first full release. I think I smoked one of these prior to finalizing the blend, so this is actually the first time that I'm smoking it. Now that the blend's been finalized, they've aged a little bit.
Totally.
All right, and Dave, take us on the journey.
Woo! First of all, this is a really exciting release, which maybe I sound like a broken record every time I talk about my excitement for releasing these.
It means you're one-upping it. You're always looking to do better than the last one. I think that's admirable.
And I mean, I think that's what it feels like, especially with this one. This is Ocho was very hands-on, and it was with one roller, and we got to sit there, and I literally blended that with him. This one was a little even more hands-on because of the access to tobaccos that I'd never had before. And I don't know, podcast 3 or 4, if you guys haven't seen that episode where me and Pew go through the Purito tasting, you should go back and watch that when you smoke APERIO, this customs release, because those are all the tobaccos that are in the cigar. We smoked this cigar in a Purito tasting, and then we were literally blending that cigar live on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I had done a blend with Hostos, and I was like, man, I feel like this is missing something, or I want to tweak some things. We got on that podcast, and we were both kind of going back, man, we love this HVA Ligero. It's like sticky, sweet. It's got cinnamon. It's got a little more spice, but we're not really tasting that in the final cigar. So we decided to up the blend, which I love because it was one of your first weeks here. And
I was about to say,
this blend it's collaborative, right? The first 3 releases have felt really solo with me just like working with people. Then we hopped on the podcast to shoot the Purito tasting. We ended up coming out with some tweaks for that blend, Pew, that you had in your head, that I had in my head. We put them together, and that's what APERIO is now. It's this is it in its final form. And
even the name is part of the larger collaboration where it's not solo, with Jeff coming up with, the name of it. I think that's just completely goes towards what you're saying there, where the first few were a solo island, and now we've got this collaboration that we're all starting to be able to help with.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so Jeff came up with this name. I had messaged him back in January when we were finalizing our 6 releases for the year. I'm like, hey, I've got 5 names for cigars, but kind of want your input. If there's a name you have, if there's a story that you want to tell, because Customs is frankly about stories. It's more than, don't get me wrong. You'll see me go buy cigars that are titled after things that you know and love, or cereals, or candy bars, or ice creams. Sure, I'll have fun. But Customs to me is like, it is the cigar industry, and I want it to feel personal. I want you to have a story and an experience that surpasses the cigar you're smoking. And as an aside, where yesterday we dropped the APERIO video, it is a masterpiece, and Ramsey did such an amazing job with it. And the score, the music in the background, is something that Jeff wrote and produced, and it is called APERIO. And
no, I had no idea. That's awesome.
I don't know if have you watched the video yet?
Not yet, but
okay.
I did not know about the score being.
So after this, we'll go watch it, or I'll send you the link so you can watch it. Because we're filming this. It came out yesterday, but we're filming this Friday, so that's why Pew hasn't seen it. He's not just rebuking Cigar Club YouTube channel.
I throw it the like and I don't even watch it.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Jeff's like, yeah, I've always wanted to name a cigar APERIO. It's a Latin word that means to reveal or to uncover. And he's like, Jeff has his doctorate in music comp from Johns Hopkins because he's a baller. And his whole thing about this song is that by the end of the song, it's like 4 different tempos. It's all piano. Like it's like classical music. But it was just, when I heard it for the first time, like right before we finished editing the video. I'm like, hey, Ramsey, can you throw this on the video? And it was like it was always meant to be a part of this video. And
that's awesome.
The story of APERIO is this idea of, for Jeff, his story of APERIO is this uncovering of tempos and music and arrangements and expressing music in a different way. My perception of APERIO is with working with Hostos from Tabacalera La Isla and revealing him, uncovering him in his factory to our Cigar Club family and to the world, because we were really the first company that's worked with him on a larger scale. There's a lot of brands in there right now. I know Warp's making cigars there. Matilde's working cigars there. Amazing stuff. But when I was introduced to him, we were one of the first projects, and I was like, man, this feels like a big reveal of Hostos and what he's doing. So this has a lot of different meanings, and I really feel sentimental about this blend, because when I saw the video come together, when I see the band finally come together how I've always envisioned it, when there's this feeling of collaboration amongst the blend, the naming, this to me is what I've always wanted Customs to be. And it feels like we're just getting started, and we're already on number 4, and it's just going to keep going from here. So I feel like I'm like going very deep here, but this is what Customs is about. It's about sharing blends with people back in the day, wrapped in newspaper. It's all about story. It's all about relationship. Knowing a factory, having a business friend in Europe, making him a cigar when you're in Cuba, sending it to him, sending it to families, sending it to royalty. That's what Customs is about, and I think we finally have gotten there with APERIO. I'm done. Absolutely. Take it away, Pew.
Boom. Think about all the brands that we've interviewed and we've had to discuss. How many of them started just peddling cigars to people? I think of Fratello. Omar, I believe, handed out cigars to business people. Jonathan Drew, I believe, was handing out cigars in upstate New York. Carson Torino and his dad at the small shop that they had, or before that, and then he turned it into a shop. So everyone has these kind of humble beginnings of small quantity, small batch cigars that they're able to give out to friends, family, local businessmen, or owners. And then from there, it just grows. And I think that really kind of defines what we have here with APERIO and the journey that has come up to what Customs Volume 4 is.
Yeah, and there's something about, and you'll see in the video, but there's something about being in a factory, which is already a great experience, especially if you're a cigar lover. walking into an age room and looking at, because we had more than just APERIO when I was there 2 weeks ago. More than just APERIO was still resting. We have like 3 or 4 other projects that we're doing with Hostos. Mm-hmm. And I walked into this aging room, and 75% of the aging room was our cigars. And
I love it.
When I walked out of the aging room, 100% of the factory was rolling our cigars. And you can't really top that feeling of like seeing it all come together and seeing the joy from someone like Hostos, who risked everything to start this factory in the middle of COVID, and his small but mighty team of like 20 people at his factory, and us having all these different kind of cigars in the works. I was just like, this has changed everything. This is different than any time I've been to a factory or been on a trip for cigars. This is why we launched Customs, and why we've launched exclusives, and our expression of blends, and why we support brands that work at small boutique factories. Yeah. This is all part of that reason. And I don't know. It was really freaking cool. And this cigar is off to a great start, by the way.
It is. It's delicious. I'm just about to jump into those tasting notes, but I just wanted to say, like, that's a friendship that doesn't end, right? Like, you never forget your first. And we just so happen to be one of his main firsts.
Right.
Anyway, transitioning off of that.
You never forget your first with David Pugh.
You never forget your first. There's your thumbnail. So I'm just looking over my previous tasting notes. I smoked this back. Obviously did kind of the Purito podcast, but smoked the unfinished version a few months ago as well. And I wrote down sweet candied nuts and hint of cinnamon to start off. And I think still right there. A little bit more creaminess than I remember, which I absolutely love.
Dude, more creaminess. There's more body than... I'll even tell you this, and it's interesting because I was smoking these literal ones a week and a half or so ago in DR, but that was an adventure in and of itself, because I was down there to blend some new projects, and then got food poisoning on night one. And cigars.
I would have made the same mistake if it makes you feel any better.
First of all, you don't get seafood in the DR if you can't see the ocean. News to me. They're a damn island.
News to me too.
Okay.
I'm in Alabama, middle of Alabama. There's no seafood around me. So the moment that I can get what assumes to be better seafood than Alabama, I would have been all over it. So I'd have been suffering with you.
So don't get it. But then, you show up the next day to like taste cigars, do all this stuff. And I'm like, I can't even think about eating a piece of toast right now, let alone smoking a cigar. I don't know how, but I mean, Hostess went and got me like Pedialyte, Gatorade, Pep, like all these things, and we spent like 2 hours in the morning before we smoked anything, and just rehydrated, got some toast in me, and he's like, "Okay, you let me know when you're ready. We can go do some stuff." But anyway, that was kind of my situation the last time I smoked APERIO, and I'm like, I'm not thinking about it, and that's why I think I messaged you. I'm like, I need tasting notes from you because. This doesn't taste the same.
I was wondering
now.
why you needed them. I figured you lost yours or something.
I'm like, this does not taste like it did before, but also nothing really tastes like it did before. So anyway, all that to say, even smoking just this half inch so far, I'm already like, oh God, yes. This is exactly what I
literally, the one note that I had when I smoked one of the test blends or the non-final release of it, I'll read it word for word. I said, possibly move up some leaves to the front to give more of a pop/intro. Yep. It's there.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, it's there. No, yeah.
And what? Sorry, go ahead, Pew.
No, I was going to say, that was the only minor tweak that I thought needed to be done, and it's there now. It's great. It's literally like the opening scene.
Yes. It hits my tongue on every sense. Spice. It makes me salivate a little bit. It's got some sweetness. It's got this nice breadiness on the finish. But what we did is we upped I believe it was the HVA Ligero percentage in this. I think we took it from like 20% to 28% and then back down the Secco from like 24% to 16%, if you followed that. So pulled some Secco out, which are your more mild combustion leaves. They still have flavor, but it's not going to give you pepper and richness. Yeah. And we up the leaf that's going to give us pepper richness, stickiness, sweetness, just a lot more flavor. And yeah, you taste it right away.
Absolutely.
But not like
Speaking,
boom, gotcha.
No, yeah, for sure. It's a kind of a slow. It's not a pepper bomb in the beginning like some people love to front load. It definitely grabs your hand and slowly walks you into it. But speaking of salivating, I'm thirsty, and I'm trying to pick
this
the best pairing for APERIO. So I picked 3 different pairings.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with, how do I do this? Start off with a little bit of rum.
Oh,
with a little,
yeah. I will join you because I have this much left.
Oh, very nice.
Of the
so
same
this
one.
is the first time
Papa's
literally just
Pilar.
opened this today.
You've never had it?
Nope. Beautiful little shout out.
Oh,
Peerless.
Pew, I'm literally so excited that I get to be a part of this. This is going to be such a fun episode.
You don't forget
I'm already
your first.
having so much fun. You don't forget your first with David Pugh and other things. I'm not even feeling
normal-
taste.
ooh, that's
I
good.
want all your thoughts.
Ooh. I normally put a little ice in my rum, but that's warm and delicious.
And now he puffs. Dude, we could have our own Olympics. And now he's taking it for the gold, the puff, the release.
Ooh, that ups the cinnamon.
Really? All right, I'm done.
Yeah, that jacks up the cinnamon substantially. Ooh, that's warming.
Because Papa
Is yours?
is very sweet, but like a dark sweetness.
Mm-hmm. It's the sherry.
Currently, dude, I'm drinking Bell Mead Cash Strength, the old one.
Ooh.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a little too much for me right now with this cigar.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want it to be done so I can switch to Papa's and give you an update. But I can comment on Papa's in about 5 minutes once I finish this.
So is it? I think having one that's not great is a good talking point as well. So is it just masking, overpowering it completely? Is it just the strength that's doing it, not necessarily the flavors?
Yeah, it's primarily the strength. So it's on the finish. It's all I get is the bourbon. And I get none of that really nice finish that I was liking on the cigar. And also, it's making the cigar seem very tame and very mild, which I don't like because this is a medium-bodied cigar, but it has a lot of flavor, but not a lot of strength. So if you're drinking high proof with it like I am right now, there's no strength to like fight with the proof.
Mm-hmm.
But then the proof and the flavor overpower the no strength, high flavor of the cigar. So now you're just kind of getting a more mild to medium, oaky.
Yeah, it pulls too
little
far
bit of
in one
pepper.
direction.
Yeah, it kind of mutes the good stuff I love about this cigar. Still a great bourbon.
Ooh.
Just don't like the pairing.
Yeah, and like you said, that you need something that's got that strength, medium plus, full, to be able to really hold up. Because what's the proof on that? The Bell Mead?
116.
Yeah, and that's what I had a
115.8.
couple things. I had a couple things that were higher in proof. The highest that I have is 109. So I wanted to, just based off what I had tasted before, I wanted something that was going to be in that 90 to, obviously the rum's 80, but 90 to 100, 110. So it didn't take it just completely past it.
But, yeah, Papa's Pilar, dude, I'm excited to get into this one because I always love... It's hard for me to find something I don't enjoy smoking with Papa's, to be honest with you.
And that's what I discovered with Diplomatico is like that rum drinks with or smokes with anything. It could be a Connecticut, it could be a Oscuro Maduro, and it's going to hold its own with it. And I've started to get into more in rums. I want to get some like single state rums that are like $100 and just have my mind blown with how good those are.
Yeah.
Dude, Appleton is the one that I'm thinking of.
I don't know that one. But you know what's almost comical to think about is... I lost my train of thought. That's what's comical to think about.
It's that Bell Mead.
It's the Bell Mead.
Were you drinking it before you started smoking? Cause,
No, but six
okay.
video calls starting at 9 a.m. going to
that'll do it to you.
2:10 will do it to you. I don't even know where I am currently.
Hey.
But I'm in heaven right now. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this.
So I'm going to, while you finish that before you get into the Papas, I'm going to break down the cigar.
Let's do it. Wait. Cigar Breakdown. Cue the intro.
I don't know. Ramsey, enter some cool music. So we've got... I don't know where to go with that one, so I'm just going right into it. We've got a Habano 2000 Dominican wrapper, Habano 2000 Dominican binder, and this is my favorite part, is the breakdown of all the 4 filler leaves. It's not just Dominican filler. It's not just undisclosed filler.
Yep.
No. You've given them everything. And I don't know, did you give percentages as well, or is it little...
I didn't give percentages, but you literally get every single tobacco in there.
So, and I kind of want to talk a little bit more, if you can remember specifically when we were smoking these, or when you were smoking these, more about these fillers, because I think this is something that most people don't ever, that's just something that's in the cigar that you don't ever think about as far as individually and why there's 4 different fillers. But we've got Piloto Cubano Viso from Dominican. We've got HVA Ligero, Criollo 98 Seco, and Nicaraguan Ligero. Jesus. Whoops. So, obviously, we've got a little multinational filler.
But just barely. This is about 90, if I am remembering correctly, it's either 88 or 90% Dominican.
Yeah. So just a touch of that Nicaraguan in there.
Yep.
Did you, when you were blending this with Hostos, did you try that without any Nicaraguan Ligero in that? Or was that always something that kind of started the blend off?
It was something that was always in the blend. And when we smoked them as Puritos too, we didn't want to change that either. So we always left it in there. But we did when we pulled back the Seco, we opted not to up the Nicaraguan Ligero. We upped the HVA Dominican Ligero.
Gotcha.
Because I wanted a predominantly Dominican cigar. Because Hostos has changed my perception on Dominican tobacco and Dominican cigars, which I used to turn my nose up to. I didn't like it. I only smoke Nicaraguan stuff. I'm in this big Nicaraguan kick. I want Corojo seed from Nicaragua. I want earth, spice.
Jalapa, give it all.
Give me the jalapa sweetness, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, puts all this Dominican tobacco in. I'm like, I really like the cigar. And he's like, yeah, it's like 80% Dominican. And then we pulled back the Seco, and I'm like, up the Dominican Ligero. Let's freaking do it. Let's get to 90. And that's how this landed. Now, I want to call out Piloto Cubano because when I was in DR last week, we were filming a video with Hostos, and I asked him for the origin story on Piloto Cubano. And he was like, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one because I honestly don't know the really far-reaching story of what Piloto Cubano is, what it means, besides it being a Cuban seed varietal that's historically grown in DR, etc. 2 days ago, I got a voice text from him with about a 3-minute video. He's like, hey, I'm driving back from a farm. I asked the guy who owns the farm to tell me everything he knows about Piloto Cubano. Here it is. And he just starts going. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Did I just get this in a voice text? So what it is, secondhand, Piloto Cubano is a Cuban seed that the early Cubans that migrated from Cuba to the Dominican Republic to start cigar factories, they brought that seed over. Now, it started off as a pilot run. So that's where the name Piloto comes from. It was a pilot test to try the seed varietals in the Dominican soil to see how it would do, if it was worth growing whole farms of, right? Because they'll just take I asked everywhere in this office. They will take a...
Need a Roomba.
They'll take a small section of their farm, grow the Piloto Cubano, age it, ferment it, dry it, try it. That's a pilot test. Cool. This tastes good. Let's turn it into a seed varietal. We'll call it Criollo 98. We'll call it Corojo 2006. We'll call it Corojo 99, HVA, whatever. When they did the test, they're like, we freaking love this. This is a great seed varietal, and it smokes amazing. But we didn't come up with a name. So we're just going to keep calling it Piloto Cubano. It's a pilot seed from Cuba. And the name stuck. And we still know today, many decades later, as Piloto Cubano. It's a Cuban seed grown only in the DR. Bada bing, bada boom.
See, things like that I love. You get that a lot with the wine community, the grape varietals and the history of the grape varietals. And I mean, I have a whole book that's 2,000 pages of just grape varietals.
Yep.
Nothing else about that. And then with the cigar, and we've talked about this before, with the cigars industry, you don't have that kind of history of the agriculture, the viticulture. No, that's wine. But anyway, the history of the varietals of the seeds and really where they came from and essentially the difference is what the tobacco brings from that varietal versus something else. And didn't know anything about Piloto Cubano, so that's awesome. And the fact that he was out and thought about you and you're wanting to know more about it and provided that for you is
I mean,
that's class.
That's what was also really cool to me. Is I'm like, you remembered I asked that, and then you took the time. I mean, I'm telling you, legitimately, it's gone now. I looked. 3-minute voice message explaining everything. So I did the Spark Notes version, but that's Hostos. If you watch the podcast, you know his whole thing is I'm always learning. I'm always listening. I'm always trying to do things in a better way. Exactly. We're sitting there doing the podcast, and I'm like, I don't even have to ask the infamous Pew question.
Nope, it's there.
Because you spent 20 minutes explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the kind of guy we're working with here, people. And I mean, I know for a fact this isn't going to be the only customs we do at La Isla. I hope we can do multiple in a year because we have access to so much tobacco. That's what people don't realize about working in the DR is that's where most tobacco is imported in the world is DR. Ecuador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican that's grown there, Cameroon. It all comes through the DR. And people in Nicaragua buy tobacco from the DR and export it and import it into Nicaragua. So it's a playground.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to Hostos for it being a year and a half, and he's already has so many big name brands coming to him to work in his factory to produce cigars. The big one that pops immediately out to me is Warped Cigars, and really looking forward to that release, and really other things that are been in the works that I don't even know about that he'll be coming out with. I think that's for within a year to have someone like Kyle come to you and say, let's make a cigar is pretty damn impressive.
Right, and Pew, you were on the phone with Enrique Seas from Matilde Cigars the other day. And he just released a cigar out of La Isla, a small one of his limited exposure runs. And I remember him explaining to me, you know, he was telling me I have such a great relationship with La Palma and Hochi Blanco, and I make all of my core lines there. He's like, but I want to do something different and limited, and Hostos is a friend, and I love his tobacco, and I love his factory, so I'm doing it with him. And that seems to be a trend with Hostos. It's a trend in cigars, right? If you build relationships, if you're a person people enjoy being around and want to work with, things happen for you. And that seems to be Hostos' story too. Is he's 37, and he's already got this legacy behind him of people who will follow him anywhere he goes and want to do business with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you're on Papa, let me know, and after you take a puff and take a sip, I'm going to bring out the next one.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really good. It totally brought out that cream or the cinnamon and made that the forefront note.
Okay,
and then the sherry cask finish of it added this like deep, dark fruit note that was like almost so dark it was savory.
But you know what is crazy? The cinnamon note comes out of the rum's finish, not from the cigar smoke. It's whatever spices are coming through the cigar smoke are mixing with the finish of the rum, and the finish of the rum changes to cinnamon. That's something I've never experienced before. That is really cool.
And I don't have anything to compare that to because that was literally my first sip. So I don't have that by itself, what that finish note of the rum was. But while you work on that, I'll bring out my next one. Now, this one I don't know about.
Drum roll, please.
We're going a little brave on this one. Fresh bottle, just opened it. My all-time favorite rye, Willett Family Estate rye. We've got
Pew. You are bringing out the heat for this episode. Are you kidding me right now?
Of course.
This is awesome.
4 years, 109 proof.
That's the 4?
Yeah.
I just opened a bottle of the 4 maybe a month or two ago.
I thought I had an open bottle, but I didn't. Darn. And I'm drinking it out of my favorite glass. I mean, where are we at? How on brand can we be?
Frickin' Willett
Drinking Willett out of the Willett glass.
I applaud you and your greatness today, Pew.
This little ridge down here fits your finger perfectly. Best glass. Glencairn's move on over. Willett glasses all day.
I kind of agree with you from where I sit. I could see this rye being really, really good with this cigar.
It's so good. Whew.
Dude, I literally said before the show. Yeah. I literally said before the show, my throat's been bothering me. I'm not going to smoke. Or I'm going to smoke a little and have to put it down. I can't put it down.
No.
I literally can't stop smoking this thing. Such a fan of it. All right, so Willett has been cracked, a family reserve on the podcast, people.
It's hot. That is a hot 109 proof coming right out of the neck.
Wow.
Oh, man. That bottle typically gets much better as it sits open for a week or two. Tames down some of those high, spicy rye notes and gives me my favorite note in rye, which is mint. Yes. Love mint, spearmint, eucalyptus type flavor. And that's why I love Hamlet State. And I think that may be too much now that I'm smoking this cigar again. I think it may pull too far in one direction to pair well. But that's why I do these things, right? We try them out for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. This is not... I think that's another thing I've been loving that we've been trying out on the podcast is nothing's really scripted. I mean, nothing is scripted. There might be an outline of, like, things we talk about.
Hey, don't forget this. That's it.
But beyond that, like, it's this idea of trying things live, just like we would as cigar smokers at home. Like, I'm going to grab this bottle off my shelf and smoke. That was terrible. I'm going to grab this one. Nope. And then I'm going to grab this one. Also no.
Gem.
No, I wanted to throw you there.
Yeah, and I think it's that lounge atmosphere.
But yes, then you hit the gem.
Like, that's my favorite. Yeah. That is kind of what my favorite part of these are. It's just us sitting down, smoking, talking, pretending everyone's here that's listening and smoking and talking with us as well, and just a relaxed, chill atmosphere.
100%. So, you have a weeded also?
I do. I saved the best for last because I think it will be the best.
If it's AWS, I already agree with you.
So it's not. Spoiler alert. But that's because I'm taking the unopened bottle to the lake this weekend for a little family get-together on my wife's side. And they love Blanton's. They're like, oh, bring Blanton's. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not bringing Blanton's.
I'm not throwing my money
I got
away.
something 10 times better than Blanton's. So I'm bringing the unopened bottle of ASW. Or I would have cracked it.
Hot take for the show.
Give it to me.
Literally was at duty free in Miami going to DR, so I can buy anything. Row of Blantons. BLNT&S.
No, just sitting there?
All there. They used to be $60, $64.99 at duty free. Now they were $99.99. $100. Mm-hmm. I didn't buy one.
Nope.
I'm like,
want it.
First
I
of
keep
all,
a bottle on hand.
I don't like this bourbon. If it was 64, I might have bought one more just to like, all right, eventually collect them all, or give them as gifts. Like it's just a great bourbon for that. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, wow, I guess I legitimately don't like Blanton's. I passed up on 5 of the 7 letters.
Yeah. I mean, I'll keep a bottle. Like I have one unopened right now because I finished my bottle, I don't know, a year ago. And so if I see a bottle at 65 and I don't have one, or I'm close to finishing one, I'll buy one just to have, right? It's Buffalo Trace. I love Buffalo Trace.
Sure.
It's a cool bottle. People come over, they're like, do you have Blanton's? Sure, it's open. But I would never pay, and some people do, right? Everyone has their own bourbon that they love, so if you like Blanton's, I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
If you like Blanton's, you're wrong.
Yeah, well, let's try other bourbons. No, if you like Blanton's, I certainly get it.
Enjoy
it's not terrible. I think it's a decent 50-65, but anything over that, I think it's completely overvalued.
And I've had great Blanton's before, but due to the fact that they are single barrels, you can hit duds. Mm-hmm. And Griff I got Griff, I think it was for his birthday last year. Blanton's did a pick or Railbird did a Blanton's pick. It's a big music festival. Mm-hmm. And I got him the Railbird pick. That's a great bottle. I did it blind, amongst other things, and really enjoyed it. But I've blind tasted my Blanton's. I have like 2 bottles at home. Every once in a while, I'll have my wife go grab me like 4 bottles and pour them blind, and I'll like taste them, and it's just like fun. And she always like likes to laugh at the times when I'm right, how ridiculous it is that I knew what they were, and then the times that I'm wrong, how way off I am.
Dead wrong. Yep.
I got the Blanton's, and I'm like, oh no, this is I sipped it. I was like, okay, sipped it again, and my guess was that it was a non-pick Buffalo Trace, just a 90 proof, off-the-shelf Buffalo Trace. Mm-hmm. And she's like, interesting. That was your Blanton single barrel. And I was like, that's what I think about Blanton. I say that all the time. I think it just tastes like Buffalo Trace to me. I have Buffalo Trace picks that I would drink over
better
Blanton's.
Absolutely.
There's my Blanton.
Absolutely. It's funny. I have Bailey do the same thing for me. And then one time I said, pour me something, I was sitting on the couch. She was about to come over, and she's like, do you want anything to drink? I was like, yeah, pour me something blind, and I'll see if I can guess it. And I don't know if I've shared this story on here. I've shared it all the time because it cracks me up. So I'm sipping it. The moment I knows it, I knew exactly what it was.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, let's be sure. So I take a sip. As soon as I take a sip, I knew exactly what it was. And I go, did you just pour me George T. Stagg on a Wednesday? So there I am, sitting on the couch.
Such a good way to answer that question, though, to like know what it is.
Yeah. There's George T. Stagg, which is, usually probably $50 a pour at a restaurant, maybe even more than that.
$500 a bottle, on best case.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, yeah, that was. Is that expensive? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, that's that one. I was like, mm-hmm. It was delicious.
That's the one I said I would never pour.
Exactly.
What gives,
so now I say, but not George T. Stagg.
What on the nose gives away George T. Stagg?
It's so deeply rich and complex. You get the age from the barrel, and then just it's like a really well-aged cigar, essentially. Like the moment you get really aged tobacco, you can tell by when you smoke it. It just has that aroma to it. George T. Stagg on the nose is so deep and so complex, and it just constantly changes. And then it's backed up by when you actually drink it. It's just layer on layer of dark cherries, caramel, deep oak and wood to it. That is, yeah. As soon as you smell it, you're like, that's George T. Stagg. And it's also the only bourbon that I have that is that complex or that aged.
Sure.
So I knew from my collection that was it.
Wow. George T. Stagg, I love. I've had it one time, and I remember just absolutely loving it. A high proof, semi sought after, nothing like the Antique series or the Stagg series. Stagg Junior from Buffalo Trace.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one. I want to say, don't quote me because I don't want to be way off here. I think it's batch 14. I can't stand it. But batch 13, if I'm right,
really, I
love. It's either 13 or 14. I've opened it, poured it. I'm like, this is just hot. It tastes like nothing but
hot.
Heat.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, all right, let me let it sit. It's Stagg Junior. It's like 132 proof.
Mm-hmm.
Let it sit for a month. Open it. Nope. I've come back to it 3 times, and every time it tastes like the neck pour. It tastes like a neck pour, like a really hot.
I've had Bookers that'll do that.
I love Bookers. People get mad. People think I'm ludicrous for this. There's probably 2 of the 4 releases last year I absolutely love. Granny's Batch, one of my favorite bourbons of all time.
I haven't bought Booker since they upped the price. So when they said they were now upping it to $89, I bought 3 bottles at $50. So all of mine are like 2015 bottles or 2016 bottles.
Dude, I didn't even know.
I have one left unopened. Oh yeah,
I didn't even know. That changes everything for me now. You just ruined Booker's for me, Pew.
Yeah, sorry. So I haven't bought Booker's since they upped the price. At $50, I think it was the best high proof bourbon on the market. At $89, I think I'd rather have Elijah Craig barrel proof at $65.
Dude,
but
Elijah
update on the
Craig
Willet.
barrel proof, amazing. Okay, Willet time.
No, maybe if I revisit it after the bottle had been open, maybe it was the neck pour that was a little too hot coming off of it. But the rye, I was thinking would accent the cinnamon spicy notes that I got from the Apereo the first time that I smoked it, and it completely overshadows it.
Oh, interesting. See, I
got to save the best for last.
All right, I'm ready. Just whip it out, Pew.
Got a certain theme to this podcast here.
There is a theme. Just cut all these innuendos together.
So we got...
Yes. If there's a pick on that, you son of a bitch. Oh.
107.
Old Weller Antique 107 store pick. A.K.A. To me, a pick of a really well done 107 pick is Pappy to me. Like, it tastes so close to Lot B or Rip 10, Rip Van Winkle 10, when it's a good pick, that it's just unbelievable.
So Alabama will do a yearly. They've changed it up this year where they're kind of doing monthly allocations, but normally before they would have what they would call Pappy Day, which would be like November 13th, and they would be a Monday. They'll open up at 10. You'd sign up a month before to get a lottery ticket to see if you can buy any of the allocated stuff. Never win. I'm always like 200 in line. But anyway, I got one of these 2019, and I opened it up maybe a month or 2 ago.
Wow.
and it's delicious. But it's my only bottle, my only OWA that
I'm gonna
have. So
join
I've
you.
I gotta nurse it until I can get another bottle of even a non-store pick are really good. But once again, the price increases on these, and let alone what stores will charge. At 50, I'm happy. Over 50,
Yep.
unless it's a store pick, I'm not too thrilled.
I love that 2 of the 3 bottles I had on my shelf here that you've done.
You had.
So I just poured the Weller. It's not a pick, of course, but I poured it.
Oh, that's so good. So this is the Weller pick that I drank with the Principal Accomplice Classico that gives me toasted marshmallows. And that's kind of what my thought was on here. I was like, that went really well with that cigar. The cinnamon, cream, a little bit of leather notes starting to come through halfway through. I think might go really well with the wheated bourbon.
Dude, I don't know if it's my palate, but today,
Overpowered?
it's still too hot for the cigar.
Yeah. I'm trying to...
Just barely. Like, if this was 100 proof, maybe Special Reserve would go really well with this.
Mm-hmm.
I want something between...
Don't make me go open my only bottle, especially.
I think you're going to have to. And, dude, this is like a top 3 bourbon of all time to me is 107. Like,
yeah.
just...
I hate that I have a bottle. I have I showed it on Fridays at 4 one time. I have the old label single reserve or special reserve ABC store pick that I don't think I can ever bring myself to open just because it's a really cool bottle. But the fact that it's a store pick as well, I'm like, I really want to try that. And I refuse. I'm not going to sell. I don't sell bourbon, but
dude,
I'm sure someone will pay a pretty penny for that.
You kill it, and you fill it back up with frickin' sweet tea and leave it on the top of your shelf so it looks like it never left. And
boom.
You can still get the same joy of looking at it.
It's true.
But now you
do want to taste it next to a regular. That's true. One day I will. But I think you're going to be right. I think you're right. Like just off the first sip and then a follow up on the cigar. Mm-hmm.
And this is really interesting because I also we're sending some of APERIO to the bourbon junkies because I want them to do a pairing. I don't think it's an easy cigar to, especially after what we've just done. It worked really well with Papa's, but Pilar goes with a lot of things. I want somebody to pick a bourbon or rye or whiskey. Maybe I'm off.
It's too hot.
Okay.
No, I don't think you are. I think it's too hot. I went cigar bourbon, and I'm going to go back to the cigar and see if there's any noticeable. But going cigar bourbon, it just completely wiped.
It doesn't have, it's not a strong cigar. And, our featured cigar this month is Patrimonio from Casa Cuevas, which is medium-bodied cigar, but it has strength. Like, it is not low in strength. And I smoked that and then had 107, and it was, like, freaking beautiful. So I was like, oh, man, this is medium. The Weller should work great with it. I really don't think it does. And please feel free to disagree.
No, I don't. I think the Papa's rum was the best out of all three. And I really expected, I knew that was going to be it was going to go great with it. But I thought it would be outshined by the Weller, and it's not. I think you need something under 100 proof. I think it needs to be a wheater. I don't think it could be like a high rye bourbon.
I really think Special Reserve
90 to 100
could challenge. Isn't Weller 1290? I think.
I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
Let's do the old quick Google.
Quick Google search. While Pew does that, and we get into our kind of wrap up phase here. I can't believe we're already at 44 minutes. This is crazy.
Jesus.
This has been. I feel like we're just like letting the chains off, the pressure. We're just having a good time, smoking, pairing, talking about blending. Like, this is what it's all about on this podcast, I think.
It is 90 proof.
That would probably be a banger. And Griff has a bottle, so we should force him to bring it to Mobile on Monday.
I was about to say, yeah, let's make him bring that. That's my favorite Weller. I've never had full proof, and I've never had the craft beer CYOB.
Yeah.
But Weller 12, so there's a restaurant whenever I go up to my dad's house that has Weller 12 pours for $7.
What?
Yes. Yes. Now, granted, their steaks are like $95 for a tomahawk, which I'm not against either.
Right.
But they make up their money on their meal. But yeah, $8 Weller 12 pours or $7 Weller 12 pours.
Yeah.
I leave with like 3 or 4 of those.
Definitely.
Kill the bottle.
Definitely.
I killed the bottle the last time I was there, so I got a bottle kill pour, which ended up being like 2.5 ounces, and I was like, thanks.
Yes. Weller 12 gets a lot of crap because of how high it goes on secondary. If you take it for what it is at the price it's supposed to be, it's an amazing bourbon. I haven't had it in a long time. Last time I had it was maybe, I can still remember, it was like 2 years ago in Nashville. But I think my hunch is I think Special Reserve would do well with APERIO.
I think it would do better. My only knock on Weller 12 would be if the age
Too much.
would be a little too deep for the medium bodied of APERIO.
Which is where
whereas the Special
flavor.
Reserve doesn't have the age to it. Mm-hmm. So I would say if you're looking to pair APERIO, when you're listening to this, Papa Pilar's rum or a weeded bourbon ASW would probably be really banging.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring one of the lake this weekend and smoke and drink some ASW with it.
Because
But I think
ASW is what?
that would be
100?
really good. I think it's like 90, 80 or 90 proof.
I really love that bourbon.
Yeah.
Can you easily get it?
Oh yeah, it's.
I
it's
might just
all
Venmo
in
you
the South.
before. All right, I might just Venmo you before you come down to Mobile.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to go because I'm.
Oh, you
out
have to
all
go
weekend,
to Georgia
but
to get it.
no, I can get in Alabama.
Oh.
But I'm not at liquor store. Griff should be able to get some in,
All right.
or we can get some in Mobile.
I'll ask Griffey. But I love that bourbon, and I do think Special Reserve will end up being the victor for this. I wish I had my bottle with me. I got one of the 175s of that.
Nice.
But anyway, if you haven't, and you're listening to this, and you haven't signed up for Cigar Club Customs, I'd recommend you
What are
do so.
waiting for?
No pressure, no pressure. That's not what this is about. But if you want to experience what we're smoking, it's our latest release from Cigar Club Customs, Volume 4, APERIO. We ship them 6 times a year, so every other month we drop a brand new cigar. It's a custom blend that we're making at factories from literally all around the world. This year we've done Factory Miami.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 2 in the Dominican and 2 in Nicaragua, 3 in Nicaragua, 5 and 6 are Nicaragua, 2 Dominican. Yeah, I forgot about Aganorsa. 3 in Nicaragua, 2 in the Dominican, 1 in the U.S. 3 different countries, 3 different factories. We're like coming in hot. This next year, 2022, I want to start honing it in and playing more with tobacco at maybe we only go to 2 factories, but we have access to all of these really cool things. Pew, I'm really excited to bring a special project to Mobile for you to smoke. I just want to show you what they look like. That I blended with Hostos. Literally the point of our trip was, or part of the point of our trip was to go blend this cigar. So I've got, we narrowed it down to 2 samples while we were down there, and only 1 filler leaf changes between the 2. And you can see the crazy difference that it makes. And it is jam-packed with Nicaraguan jalapa because that's what I want. And Ecuadorian Corojo 99 wrapper because I love that wrapper, and my favorite cigar that uses that wrapper is Serena's Wayfarer. So literally went and hand-selected the Corojo 99 wrapper from a tobacco vendor down the street from Hostess's factory. We brought it back, and his roller took it, got everything prepped, made 20 cigars of each blend that we landed on from our blending session, and I've just been letting them dry in the box so I can bring each of us down a cigar in Mobile. We can smoke them. I am impressed with the cigar. I'll leave it there because I want to hear your opinion on it. But we can talk about that and other projects coming up on our next podcast. There is so many things in the works. Every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, I forgot that we have this coming that we need to prepare for.
There's so many things you're like, did you know about this? And I'm like, nope, new to me.
No.
Love it.
Man, so I was looking at the Ranger cigar here yesterday, the one we're doing with Aganorsa, Guardian of the Farm, exclusive. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot we have like probably the coolest exclusive we'll ever release coming out, like our own version of Aganorsa's Guardian of the Farm. Like, oh, I'm pumped.
Delicious, too.
It
I remember
doesn't
I smoked that
end
back in
around
March.
here.
That was fantastic. It does not. There's always, and the time it takes, right? It can't. You've got to always be 6-7 months out because of the time that cigars take to. They have to age after you roll them, after you've figured out what the hell you want to do with it in the first place. So,
yeah, it's this
keeps us on our toes.
This month begins blending for February's customs. Like, if you can believe that, that's absurd and nuts, and I'm here for it. So
exactly.
if you want to be a part of that blending experience and tasting that, check out cigarclub.com/customs. Also next month, we're releasing the Cigar Club's factory experience. The first one is the Purito box. What? You guys get to smoke all the Puritos, smoke the final cigar. And me and Hostos shot about a 30-minute video walking you through each and every one. Well, Hostos walking me through it, captured on camera, so you could be a part of it. But yeah, a lot of cool things coming up here at Cigar Club. Pew, any final thoughts for the people?
No, that's it. As always, thanks for joining us. If you're on YouTube, give us comments down below what you want to see, what you liked about it.
Yeah.
If you're smoking Customs APERIO when you're listening to this, let us know what you've been pairing it with.
Absolutely.
I'm curious to see kind of what everyone lands on as far as their favorite pairings. I think coffee would be delicious with this as well. A non-alcoholic pairing. But then again, I think I could drink coffee and smoke a cigar with anything.
Yeah. I was also thinking cream soda. You guys try it. Let us know what you think. Drop in the comments. APERIO ships, I think today, when you're listening to this on Tuesday, they'll start going out the door. So you'll be getting it very, very soon. And let us know your thoughts. Drop it on the gram. Drop a comment here on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcasts. Does anybody listen on Google Podcasts? I'm going to say no. So. But if you do...
but if you are, thank you.
Let your voice be heard. Make sure you like or download this video. And it helps the channel. We got a lot of cool stuff coming for the podcast. Some giveaways coming up shortly as well. So, until next time. Mr. Pugh, always a pleasure.
Happy smoking, everyone. Always a pleasure, Dave.
Happy smoking, Cigar Club family. We will see you all next week, every Tuesday, on the Cigar Club podcast. Peace!